So in this game, I was black against Akash Thakur, and it's kind of an interesting game, which sort of just gonna go back to the beginning of it. So which sort of shows how the side that has space advantage must continue to play, and how if you're on the defending side of it, you must constantly, if you have less space, you must look for breaks to like free your position, just anything, because if you continue being passive, your opponent probably in all probability is going to overplay you. So it's very important that when you're defending a slightly passive where you have less space, to look for breaks, maybe using a bit of tactics. So this game will kind of illustrate that. So I was black and it was an irregular opening, and we got this kind of a position. It's played quite a bit where white sort of normally white goes bishop g5 here, and this is quite popular, and a lot of times they just they kind of want to take on f6 and give the two bishops, but sort of spoil black's structure very early on. And anyway, my opponent played something quite different. So white gives up the two bishops, but in return he has spoiled black's pawn structure. In this sort of a position, white must try to play e4 at some point, and that's normally how he does it and keep his knights centralized. My opponent went e3, bishop g7. I'm gonna just run through the moves, because just to get to the point where I want to talk a bit about space and world-changing things like that. So when c5, c3, playing in the center, black is trying to open the position because he has double bishop. White should have probably, just to go back a little bit. If white gets e4, he's probably okay. So which is why black also plays f5, defending on e4. And for that matter, maybe it's interesting for white to play e4 here. I haven't analyzed this position. It just leads to very different positions. I take here, you take here, f5. I think black is okay, white is okay, everybody's okay. It's just a very different game, just a different way to play it, different from how it happened in the game. So going back to my game, it continued for a few more moves. But I feel white continued to be passive, and black managed to get everything in place and a good position. So I put all my pieces in the center, put my knight on e4. The point is that if white, anytime that white takes, black takes with the f pawn, your pawn structure is sorted, you have double bishops. It's not winning, nowhere close, but it's a very, very good position, a very comfortable position to play with black. So now this is the point where I want to stop. I think black has done everything to improve his position, to get a good position. White has made some moves, some passive, some not so passive, and and we have this position with us. Now black must decide how he wants to continue playing. The thing is, like, black has a space advantage here, clearly, because space advantage is mainly based on the kind of pawn structure the position has. And this is white's, and black, as we see, has double pawns, but I don't think it's a weakness here. He's got more space, he's got two bishops, he's playing well. The point with space advantage is that you always try to work on it. You try to push your pawns forward, gaining more and more space and crushing more space for your opponent. So here black's idea is to somehow, increase the pressure on the queen side. That is what he wants to do. But you have to be accurate about it, and I wasn't, unfortunately, in the game. In the game, it was my plan as well, and I played c4. Now, the point is that here the correct way to play this idea is to go knight d6. And this is a very common concept as well, in which the side that has more space should not exchange pieces, because the defender with less space, it is easier for him to play if he has less minor pieces on the board. So whenever you have bigger space, you have more places to move around with your pieces, and your opponent does not, you try to maintain as many minor pieces, as many pieces as you possibly can. So knight d6 was correct. When we want to grow our space, we want to keep more pieces on the board. So white goes bishop a6, trying to eliminate minor pieces. We refuse, and as black is threatening to play c4, not c3, c4 and b5, and there are going to be problems with this bishop, he probably must come back, and white goes c4, bishop c2, plays b5, and with a very, very good position, a very solid advantage, white does not have any play. Black is going to go forward with the plan to get b4. Just a small variation, for example, knight f3, he goes rook to b8. It's very difficult for white to even find moves. For example, b5, knight f3, we go rook to b8. No idea what just happened. And now, for example, white plays anything. Black wants to, for example, I don't know, h4. We want to take on a1, and you take on a1, and I want to go b4. So it's a very good position. Black is going to continue putting pressure on the queen side, and there's absolutely no problems that he has. So a slightly better position. Very difficult for white to play because of lack of space. At some point, we can even transfer this bishop to a more active place, play knight to b5, put more pressure on c3, and so on. So this was the correct thing to do. Now, I played c4 with the similar idea that I want to go knight d6 the next move and play b5 and play b4. But unfortunately, I missed something here, and maybe you could just think about what it could be that white should play. He's clearly defending, but what is it that you can do? So here, my opponent correctly immediately took on knight e4, not giving me the opportunity to go back knight d6 and continue with my plan. I take on fe4. Now, black has managed to undouble his pawns, and the position looks good, but it's also difficult to break now with b5 and b4. With the exchange of the minor pieces, white has less space, but it's easier to play when you have less pieces to play such a position. So exchanging minor pieces or even major pieces sometimes when you have less space is a very good defending concept. And now here, but most importantly, what here that I completely missed was that white just immediately goes b3 and solves all his problems and is probably slightly better. So white breaks with b3. My opponent, Akash, he played b3 here. So I take c into b3, he goes queen b2, and unfortunately I cannot do anything to defend this pawn. And now though white has a weakness on c3, so does black on b6. And suddenly my b7 bishop is quite bad, his bishop on b5 is more active, and if he gets c4, it will be disaster. So, which he probably will get because he just puts rook on c1 and plays c4. So he played queen b2, I went rook c8, he took on a8, rook into a8, and just took on b3. So this position now, white has managed to solve all his problems in a very active way. He played b3 at a good time, took on e4 at the right time, and white is slightly better. Eventually this game was drawn. It's not very important how it continued, just continued for a few more moves. I think white is slightly better. Just to show you the plan, he goes rook c1 and he goes c4, and I must take on c4 because my d5 is too weak to defend. And once I take on c4, the f7 is too weak, and but I managed to arrange a bit of counterplay with bishop went to h6. I took on f4 and kind of weakened his king side a bit and managed to draw. But it's not the point. The point is that when you do have space advantage, it is an important idea to remember to keep as many pieces on the board as possible, because it is that much more difficult for your opponent to find squares for his pieces and that much easier for you. So this is what I wanted to show you with this game. How not to play when you have space advantage. Okay.